The person I was closest to was also Lin Sure. If she was gone, where would I go? Was she somewhere else? I suddenly felt that this city held nothing for me anymore. Even Shin, he was just her eldest brother, not mine. So be it. The world was wide. I'd find somewhere to go. I smiled and looked up. Lin Sure, I've done my best to atone for what Shin Wan owed you. Shin Wan taking your body was an accident. You don't have to hate her. I'm not Shin Wan. I won't destroy your family. In this life, you'll be happy. Your father, mother, and brothers will all be good to you. I'll leave. May we live out our lives in peace and never see each other again. Before Lin Sure could speak, I continued, It's okay if you hate me. I don't care. If you want me dead, I won't stop you, as long as the people you hire can actually kill me. If you want me to experience your suffering, find me a nice mental institution right now. I'll go in myself. Whatever length of time you were in one, I'll stay for the same amount of time. Will that satisfy you? Lin Sure was silent. She stared at me for a long time. The complicated emotions in her eyes eventually settled into cold indifference. I heard her say, Leave, comma. I left the Shin family, alone. I've been alone from the start. I wandered the city streets, lost. I found a park and sat on a bench, watching the light in the sky fade into darkness. A figure stood in front of me. I looked up. It was Sishi's boyfriend. I smiled weakly. Hello. The man looked tired. Where is Lin Sure? My smile froze. Isn't she at the Shins? He frowned. You know that's not her. His voice was tense with suppressed anger. I smiled indifferently. So you could tell. It seems you really love Sishi. But Sishi is gone. If Lin Sure was gone, what was I? The man clenched his fists. His eyes were bloodshot. No, I'll find her. My name is Lu Xian. He said this and turned to leave. In this vast world, can you really keep going? Maybe I should try. 2. I bought a plane ticket to a faraway city. Then I went to an even smaller one. The university I'd worked so hard to get into would start in a month. But I gave up. I'm sorry. I'm tired. The small savings I'd put away actually came in handy. I found a place that didn't require ID. Living in a place like that could be dangerous. But I wasn't afraid. What I was afraid of was Shin-e finding me. Through my ID. I didn't know why, but I was afraid to see him. I was afraid that my dependence on him would cause me to break down the moment I saw him. Forget it. His sister was back. I shouldn't be a part of their lives. Like Shinjo said, I shouldn't provoke Shin-e. I hadn't signed the birthday gift. It was still in my room. I'd given it back. I'd just keep moving. Maybe if luck was on my side, I'd actually find Zuxixi. Shin-e came home from overtime work. He didn't see the bored girl. He thought she was in her room. He made some noise on purpose, wanting her to know he was back. But he sat in his study for a long time and no one came. He knocked on Shanwan's door. No answer. The door wasn't locked. He walked in. He saw the birthday gift he'd given her, but it wasn't signed. Was she afraid? He smiled. Shin-e thought Shanwan had gone out. He picked up his phone to call her. No answer. He began to panic. He turned and left the room. He saw Lin, she just coming out of her room. Lin, she was a little dazed seeing her eldest brother. She hadn't seen him much in her past life. She said, Big brother. Shin-e looked at her carefully. Then his face suddenly went cold. Lin, she was confused. Why did her big brother seem angry? Big brother, what's wrong? Shin-e clenched his fists, suppressing his anger. Where is Wanwan? Lin, she felt a pang of resentment. I don't know. Shinyang had just arrived and walked into this tense scene. He immediately stepped in front of Lin Shi. Big brother, what's going on? Shen-e didn't look at Shinyang. He kept his gaze on Lin Shi. I asked you, where is Wanwan? Anyone could hear the cold fury in Shen Yi's voice. Lin Shi pressed her lips shut. Shinyang finally sensed something was wrong. Shenwan. That's right. Shen Wan wasn't there. Wanwan probably just went out. Big brother, don't be so nervous. Shin-e gave him a cold look. Shut up. He turned back to Lin Shi. Last chance. Where is she? The resentment and defiance in Lin Shi's eyes came to the surface. Why? Big brother, I am your sister. Shin-e clenched his fists even tighter. So what if you're my sister? What makes you think I care about this so-called blood relation. You come back, and I lose the most important person to me. How ironic. Shin Yi walked toward Lin Shi. Shin Yang could sense his brother's unusual state and stepped in front of Lin Shi. Shin Yi shoved Shin Yang aside and grabbed Lin Shi by the throat. Tell me, where did you send her? Lin Shi saw Shin Yi's reddened eyes and was truly scared. Cough, cough. Shin Zhou came home to the scene and immediately shouted, I know where Shin Wan is. Shin Yi let go. Lin Shi collapsed to the floor, coughing and gasping for air. Shin Yi turned to Shin Zhou, who was also a bit scared. At noon, I told her not to provoke you. Shin Yi sneered. What is this supposed to be? Shin Zhou, Lin Shi, recovering, spoke. She left on her own. I don't know where she went. Shin Yi calmed down. He looked at the three of them and laughed. You're all wonderful. He turned and left the room. As he passed Shin Zhou, he stopped. Second, you'd better pray I find her. Shin Zhou blocked him. Big brother. Why? You know what happened in the past life. Shin Yi stopped. She's just Wan. No one had expected that to be the last time Shin Yi ever set foot in that house. I saw the news. Feng Ling Corporation CEO, Shin Yi, announced that he had cut ties with the Shun family. Was this because of me? But there was no need. The news shook the wealthy elite. No one knew what had happened. Even father and mother Shin rushed home to ask. All three children were silent, frustrated, and angry. They found out from the housekeeper that it was because Shan Wan had left. Mother Shen was confused. Why would Wan leave? Weren't you two getting along well? Cece, do you know? Lin sure said nothing. Father Shen's face was red with anger. Shen Wan is getting more and more unreasonable. He called Shin Yi. No answer. He called again. No answer. He called again. What? Father Shin could hear the coldness in Shin Yi's voice. Shin Yi, what are you doing? All this because Shin Wan ran away. She'll be back once her little tantrum passes. Click. Father Shin was so angry, he threw his phone. I walked the streets of a small city, breathing in the different air. I could survive. It wasn't so bad being alone. Maybe 6 Easy was somewhere out there. There was always something to hope for. That news. Maybe it was really because of me. Thank you, Shin Yi. You made me feel like I was cared about. To avoid complications, I'd withdrawn some cash in the first city I stopped in. After arriving in this small city, I changed my number and paid someone to watch the airport and bus station. At the first sign of trouble, I quickly packed and left on a bus. I could travel light. Why not? 6 Easy wasn't in this city. Time to move on. Shin Yi arrived in the small city where Shin Wan had been, but after searching, all he found was an empty apartment she might have stayed in. Wan, where are you? I sat on the bus. Looking saw Shin Yi for a split second. I immediately looked down. I'm sorry, just a little more time. I couldn't bear to see him yet. Shin Yi, as if sensing something, turned his head, but he saw nothing but the flow of traffic. The bus left the small city for its next destination. I never thought a rural bus like this would be unsafe. On a deserted stretch of road, we were robbed. It was the passengers themselves. Definitely premeditated. I was already sad about the cash I'd withdrawn. 3 of them, with knives, threatened each passenger for their valuables. They got to me. I pulled out some cash. Not all of it. I added pathetically, this is all I have. The robber looked at the cash, then at me. I saw it in his eyes. Lust. So disgusting. The robber called over their leader. The leader gave me the same look. Sigh. Some people just want to die. The bus driver started to get up. One of them stabbed him. He collapsed back into his seat. They pulled me off the bus. I struggled a little for show. The bus was too small. Not a good place to fight. A young man stood up to stop them. They cut him with the knife. My luck. Mostly women, children, and elderly. Only a few men and 3 robbers. As they dragged me off, I turned my head. The driver was bleeding from his neck. The blood was so red. They dragged me behind some bushes, not far from the road. This was the perfect time to escape. I hope someone on that bus knew how to drive. The leader came first. With a lewd smile, he approached me. I giggled, coquettishly. Could you have them leave? I'm shy. The leader nodded eagerly. The other 2 walked away. I smiled as I walked toward the leader. The knife in my sleeve found his throat. My hand covered his mouth. I watched his eyes widen. My smile grew brighter. Inside the bus, the young man, clutching his bleeding stomach, said weakly, "Even if you can't save that girl, could you at least use this chance to go for help?" The crowd was silent for a moment. A little boy looked at his mother, then ran off the bus in the direction they'd come from. He was in his car, his face tired and determined. The car suddenly braked. A boy ran up and knocked on the window. Mister. He was impatient. "Go away." The boy ran in front of the car to block it. "Mister, we were robbed. There's a girl. They took her. They killed someone. Mister, please help us. Please save her." He thought for a moment. "Lead the way." The boy smiled and ran ahead. I looked at the lifeless leader and wiped the blood from my face. "Who's next?" Hear how sweet I sounded. One of the other men walked over. He saw the blood on my face. He saw the leader on the ground. His eyes were furious. He called to his companion, both of them at once. That might be a little hard. They rushed me at the same time. I cut one of them, dodged the other's grasp, but he cut my arm. I laughed even more. These two truly deserved to die. Ignoring the pain, I lunged and plunged my knife into one of their throats. His knife went into my abdomen. Not fatal. I'd live, but it hurt. I stood up straight. I didn't have much strength left. The last man looked at me with wide eyes. "You're a monster." I smiled. Maybe I was. He was also injured. I watched him crawl toward the bus. "What were you crawling toward? Who would save you?" I followed him, losing blood, my vision blurring. I just needed to take care of the last one. I dragged myself forward, my blood-soaked clothes sticking to me. The man on the ground seemed farther and farther away. "Help! Help me! This woman is insane. I'll give you your money back. Help!" The bus was silent. The little boy's voice was clear. "It's over there." He was already out of the car and running before the boy finished. Through the window, he saw the girl, covered in blood. His heart nearly stopped. I knew I couldn't kill this man. I couldn't walk anymore. A familiar figure ran toward me. His roar, "Wan Wan," cleared my vision slightly. The knife fell from my hand. Big brother. I never expected our next meeting to be so pathetic. With him here, the people on the bus were safe. I relaxed and let myself fall. He watched the girl fall. He carefully lifted her, saw her wounds, and his eyes reddened. He turned and walked back to the car. "Handle this," he told the bodyguard who had followed. "Then, keep that one for me." The bodyguard understood he meant the man crawling on the ground. He nodded. He got into the car with Shenwan. "To the hospital." Fong Yu didn't dare delay. He took them to the nearest hospital. The bodyguard watched the man on the ground. Even as he begged, the bodyguard looked at him like he was already dead. There were too many witnesses. The police would have to be called, but there were plenty of witnesses. The young lady would be fine. As for the survivor, he'd be taken away and eventually returned to the police. Everyone on the bus, except the driver, survived. I felt parched. I blinked my eyes open. There was still some pain in my abdomen. I turned my head and saw Shinji holding my hand. My memories came back. That's right, Shinji had come. I moved my hand. Shinji woke up. When he saw my eyes open, his lit up. "Wan Wan, you're awake." I smiled. "Big brother, water." My voice was too hoarse. Okay. After I had water, the doctor came. I felt much better. Looking at the man in front of me, I was a little embarrassed. I'd run away for so long, only to end up like this. Shinji looked at me quietly, not speaking. I shifted. Shinji's cold voice came. "Wan Wan, where else do you want to go? I'm a little hungry." Shinji held his head. I ordered kanji. "It'll be here soon, big brother." Shinji's voice grew colder. "Don't call me that. Weren't you so good at running away? You left without a word. What do you take me for?" "Oh, no. I was in trouble." I tried to argue. "I was looking for 6CZ." Shinji was so angry he laughed. "You went all the way out here by yourself just to look for Linshur. Who are you trying to fool?" Shinji was furious. "Shinwan, do you have no heart?" My eyes filled with tears. "Don't be so mean. I'm not Shinwan. Linshur was right. None of this belongs to me. 6CZ is gone. What am I? I know you've probably already figured out my identity, but I still grew attached to you, and I'm afraid. Shinji was taken aback, but considering her injury, he just held her hand. Wan, that's not your burden to bear. You say it's not yours, but I am yours. I looked up in shock, but Shen-yi had already leaned in and kissed the corner of my mouth. It was brief. He smiled gently. Do you understand? I was stunned. You can always depend on me. Please don't be afraid of me. I will protect you until death. I didn't say anything. Shin-yi stood up. I'll go check on your kanji. Was he afraid I'd reject him? How cute. Shin-yi actually liked me. A powerful person. Like me. I felt like I could stand up again. I could even go back and fight Lin Shi. Forget it. Better not fight Lin Shi. I'd find Su Sisi and show off. I fell asleep again, thinking about this. When I woke up, Shin-yi was beside me. Wan, you're awake. The kanji is still warm. I looked at him with teary eyes. Big brother, I had a nightmare. Shin-yi looked at me. I continued. I dreamt that the power went out and didn't come back on for a whole day. My family thought I was missing. Shin-yi, seeing his indifference. I dropped it. I looked at the kanji. Big brother, my hand hurts. Feed me. Shin-yi laughed lightly. I remember your left arm is the one that's injured. I smiled at him. I'm left-handed. Oh, really? I glanced at him. Big brother, you're going to lose your girlfriend like this. Shin-yi paused in the act of feeding me. Wan, say that again. I smiled. Shin-yi, will you be my boyfriend? Shin-yi was stunned. He put down the kanji and gently hugged me. Yes. His voice was hoarse. I patted his back with my right hand. I promise I won't run away. So sincere. Shen-yi looked at me doubtfully. Really? I patted my chest and swore. Absolutely. Shen-yi laughed softly. Wan, those were your words. He leaned closer. Not that you could run away, even if you wanted to. I blinked. I won't run. I won't. I'd gotten a powerful person like him. It would be a waste to run. I suddenly remembered something. Big brother, how many days have I been asleep? I haven't missed the start of school. Have I? Shin-yi picked up the kanji, scooped up a spoonful, and put it in my mouth. You still remember school? I chewed. It was good. Sweet. Just how I liked it. Of course I remember. I'd worked so hard to get in. I was reluctant to just let it go. Yum. So good. Shin-yi looked at me helplessly. Don't even think about going back until you've recovered. I moved a little. The pain from my abdomen and arm hit me. Hiss. Shin-yi's cold eyes shot toward me. I immediately stopped. I felt like I hadn't fully regained my footing. You only just got stitched up. You haven't even had your stitches out. Just stay put. I nodded silently. Shin-yi looked down. His eyes flashed red. Wan, focus on healing. I need to go deal with something. I'll be back. I didn't pay much attention. Okay, Shin-yi walked into a basement. There was no warmth in his eyes as he looked at the man imprisoned there. The bodyguard stayed outside. Soon, the basement echoed with screams, each one more agonizing than the last. Shin-yi walked out. He took the towel from the bodyguard, wiped his hands, and strode away. He's not dead. Take him to the police station. When Shin-yi returned, I was chatting happily with a nurse. There's another girl at the hospital, very quiet, barely says a word all day, but her boyfriend is so good to her. He never leaves her side. My eyes lit up. Sister, what's that girl's name? The nurse thought for a moment. I don't remember her name, but I heard her boyfriend call her Cece. I got even more excited. I moved without thinking. The pain made me hiss. Shin-yi had just come in. Seeing this, his expression darkened. I put on a pitiful face. Big brother, it hurts. Shin-yi walked over and the nurse left. You know it hurts, so don't move. Once the pain was gone, I moved on. Big brother, 6 Easy seems to be in this hospital. 2, can we go see her? Please. Shinai knew Shin-won meant Lin Shi. He sighed. Wan, you're still injured. I was silent for a moment, but I want to see her. Shinai gave in. I'll go check first. I'll find out if it's really Lin Shi. Okay. I looked at my battered state and reluctantly nodded. Shinai found the room. He saw the girl in the bed and the man beside her. He walked over. The man turned his head and asked coldly, Who are you? Shinai didn't answer. He asked instead, Are you Lin Shi's boyfriend? Lu Chuan, not sure who this man was, replied, yes. Shinye's gaze softened a little. You actually found her. I'm Shinai. Lu Chuan understood this man's identity. He smiled bitterly. But Cece is only awake for very short periods. Shinai frowned, thinking, maybe her soul and this body aren't compatible. Lu Chuan had long known about Lin Shi's secret. He felt the same pain. I don't know what to do, but I'll stay with her, no matter where she goes. Shinai acknowledged this man. Bring her to see Wan Wan. Maybe Wan Wan will know. Lu Chuan trusted Shen Wan more. She was the person Lin Shi mentioned the most. Okay, I'll bring Cece when she wakes up. I saw Lin Shi. She looked different, but those eyes, so familiar, always full of disdain when they looked at me. 6 easy. Oof. Yep, getting excited was bad. My arm and stomach hurt. Lin Shi looked away. I was still writhing in pain until she turned back. What happened to you? I gave an embarrassed smile. I went a little too far. As soon as I said it, I felt Shinya's cold stare. Oh, no. I just ran into some robbers. I got a little hurt. I wasn't backing down. I was just giving him face. Really? Lin Shi saw right through me. Then she said to Lu Chuan, you can go out for a bit. I also turned to Shen Yi and batted my eyelashes. Big brother, could you go out, too? He glanced at me and left. Lin Shi asked, you're not afraid of robbers. So why are you afraid of Shen Yi? I rubbed my head with my right hand. My intelligence is no match for his. I can't bounce around. Lin Shi, suddenly remembering Shen Yi. I said, Lin Shi, big brother likes me. Lin Shi looked disgusted. I could already tell I was confused. How come I didn't notice? Lin Shi was even more disgusted. You're stupid. Lin Shi analyzed it for me. With perfectly good houses to live in, why did he move back into the old house? It was because he saw something was off with us. You said it yourself. A persistent woman has a chance. Don't you think you were visiting Shin Yi quite a bit? I didn't see her point. 6 easy. That's because you wouldn't talk to me. Lin Shi had an epiphany. Oh, right. I was playing matchmaker. Me. You know, I get the feeling Big Brother took a shower. I can sniff out the faintest hint of blood, but I'm too afraid to ask. Lin Shi didn't care. Shen Yi was never a good person. Didn't you already know that? Oh, I suppose so. I wasn't exactly a good person, either. Perfect match. Oh, right. I forgot to ask something important. 6 easy. Why are you in the hospital? Lin Shi sighed. My body can't handle the soul. I keep falling asleep. It's not a big deal. I just need time to adjust. The original owner of this body is already gone. Her wish was for me to live well in her place. 1-1. This time I can have a home. Hearing the happiness in her voice, I felt happy. 2. Getting excited made me yelp again. Afterward, I was jealous. I thought I'd find you first. But Lu Chuan beat me to it. Lin, she looked down on me. With the way you are, by the time you found me, even the day lilies would be cold. I was resilient. Succc. Why didn't you tell Lu Chuan Big Brother was really worried about you? Lin, she was caught off guard. I forgot. I laughed out loud. Succc finally slipped up. She shot back. Still not as stupid as you. I was silent. You're mean. I'm not happy. Lin, she suppressed the urge to hit me. This was Xin Yuan. She couldn't do anything. Couldn't risk Xin Ye's wrath. Lin, she said, flatly. All right. I'm leaving. Get some rest. I looked at her with teary eyes. Will you come back? She glanced at me. I'm in the same hospital. I need to spend time with Lu Chuan. I'll come when you're better. I pouted like an aggrieved wife. You don't love me anymore. Succc. She was speechless. I never loved you. I pretended to wipe a tear. Go on then. Go see your other person. Lin, she didn't want to talk. She turned her wheelchair and left. Seeing the door open, Shen Yi was about to come in. Lin, she looked at him. She spat out. Take her to get her head checked. From the room came my angry yell. Succc. I heard that. You said I don't have a brain. Lin, she Lu Chuan. Xin Yi, please excuse her. Xin Yi came in and called for the nurse. I looked at him sadly. You're actually going to have them check my head. He held his forehead. You messed around. Your wound definitely opened. I just called the nurse to rebandage it. I understood. Oh, you do love me. Big brother. Shin Yi looked at her doubtfully, trying to find something wrong. Why did she seem off? I saw him looking at me, like he wanted a doctor. I immediately got serious. Big brother, my cognitive function is normal. My mental state is excellent. Couldn't be better. Shin Yi let out a breath, like he was relieved. Me, like a crazy person. When the nurse came to change my bandages, she was annoyed. You can't move around right after being stitched. What's wrong with you? Afterward, she told Shin Yi, as the patient's family member, to be careful. Too, I felt Shin Yi's cold stare the entire time. As soon as the nurse left, Big brother, I'm sorry, I won't move again. Even if the sky falls, I won't move. Shin Yi withdrew his freezing stare and said flatly, just heal. I promised to heal quickly so I could bounce around. Shin Yi couldn't do anything about me. I slept soundly for the next few days. I slept, ate, watched Shin Yi review documents, watched him take video meetings, watched him give Fang Yu orders. Honestly, life without my workbook was boring. 6 Easy didn't come to play with me. I wasn't good enough. When would my wound heal? I was starting to mold. Shin Yi noticed my gaze and looked up from his papers. What is it? Wan. Listen to that. So gentle. And yet, big brother, don't you see I'm bored? He nodded. I see. I was shocked. You see it and you won't even give me something to do. At least give me my phone back. Yes, to punish me. He'd confiscated it. Shin Yi went back to his documents. Be good. I'll play with you when I'm done. Wah. So gentle, but I'm so bored. Big brother, can I have my phone back? Give me my phone. Shin Yi didn't say anything. I don't know why he was so sensitive about phones. I wasn't going to run. Big brother, when I'm better, where will we live? Are we going back? I didn't want to go back. He looked up. You'll come with me. I have several houses in the city. You can choose. My eyes lit up. So rich. I like it. I remembered something. Big brother, at the old house, there's still the gifts from you and Cece. Could you have someone get them? Shen Yi was about to say yes, then remembered something. Why didn't you sign it? What? The agreement. I was a little guilty. I was going to sign it later. He was still looking at me, not saying anything. Fine. I just didn't want to be indebted to you. I lower my head. I know I was wrong. From now on, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is still mine. Look how self-aware I am. Shen Yi laughed. I looked up. He put down the papers and touched my head. That's a good plan. He looked into my eyes seriously. But Wan, you are mine. I couldn't help but feel moved. That was so boss. Shin Yi traced my nose. Why are you blushing? I tilted my head to calm down. Sorry, I was going to eat my grass. He smelled so good I wanted to pounce. Speaking of Big Brother, about the Shens, maybe you should still. He frowned. I have nothing to do with them. His tone softened. Wan, I've already lived a lifetime. I don't value blood ties. In my past life, vengeance was just cleaning up bodies. Meeting you in this life was an accident and a blessing. I was touched, but my annoying mouth said, oh, in your past life, you killed Shinwan. He sighed, but that wasn't you. I shrugged. I've always felt I owe Shinwan for taking her body. I smiled easily, but I don't feel that way anymore. I've done my best to pay it back. Shin Yi was silent. Wan, you don't owe her anything. I don't care. I said, whether I did or not. It's over. From now on, I'm just your Shinwan. He smiled. Good. Just mine. He smiled. Good. I shouldn't have brought that up. I was discharged. Oh, mother, the sky is so beautiful. I need the sun to air out my mold. Cece, you're only coming to see me now that I'm discharged. She glanced at me. What else? Sigh. The love is gone. I whispered to her. I could have been discharged earlier. Big brother insisted I get my stitches out first. She was speechless. Are you sure you're not bragging? Being treated like a treasure. I chuckled. You caught me. So, how's your body? 6 Easy. She smiled slightly. Much better. Living normally is fine. That's good. I was hopping along until I saw Shen Yi. I walked properly. He came over. Your wound isn't fully healed. I nodded like a woodpecker. I'm very obedient. Lin sure. I went with Shen Yi to his house. I chose the one closest to his office. I was getting clingy. If he was close to work, he could spend more time with me, but I wasn't happy when I saw Shin Zhou at the entrance. I hid behind Shin Yi. I didn't want to see him. Not that I hated him. It was just awkward. Shin Zhou came up to Shin Yi. Big brother. Shin Yi didn't say anything. He took me inside and said to the security guard, "Don't let any unrelated people in." I followed obediently. At the apartment, I was confused. Big brother, you didn't tell me this place only has one bedroom. He raised an eyebrow. You didn't say anything when I said you'd move in with me. I was flabbergasted. So, I sleep with you. He had trapped me from the start. What else did you think? He got closer. His scent surrounded me. Wan, I'm 26. You're my only girlfriend. Do you understand? I didn't want to understand. This was too fast. I wasn't ready. Be big brother. I'm only 18. He kissed me. It's okay. That's enough. That wasn't the issue. I tried to struggle. His kiss deepened. My head went fuzzy. Then, everything went black. I don't remember anything. Really, when I woke up, I remarked. I lived to see another sunrise. Shin Yi pulled me to him. Wan, I already washed you. I know. So, he kissed me again, turning over. Let's see the next sunrise. I protested. Shini, were you a hungry ghost in a past life? He lowered himself. Yes, I've been hungry for 26 years. 6 easy. Will you let me stay with you? I put on a pitiful face. I'm about to be homeless. Lin, she sipped her coffee. Where's Shini? Maybe I need to think about being with him. What did you say? I heard a voice behind me. I turned, my face miserable. A man as perfect as Big Brother needs no consideration. I was just saying nonsense. 6 easy. You're so great. You didn't tell me Sheeny was there. He looked at me. Oh, he was getting cold. I was doomed. He took me home. I thought I'd be ravaged again, but he just held me, his head in my neck. 1-1. Don't leave me. Don't want me. I was stunned. I always thought I was the one who couldn't leave him. Was I also wanted like this? I hugged him and started negotiating. I won't leave you, he mumbled. Mum, you can't do that anymore. He looked up. Do what? I blushed. Frolic all day. Okay, that easy. You can't bully me. Okay, you can't limit my allowance. Okay, you can't restrict my freedom. Okay, later I learned the truth. A man's mouth is a liar's mouth. Not frolic all day, frolic all night. So much for protecting me. Liar. He was also stingy with my allowance. I found out later from Fong Yu that he'd instructed that I never be given more than the price of a one-way bus ticket. I'm really not going to run, and my freedom I'd given up. School, Lin Shi's place, home, being a homebody. Freedom didn't matter. I'd run into Lin Shi, the Shin family's Lin Shi. At school, the real Lin, she was very smart. She could have gone to a better school. She stayed for me. Absolutely not for Lu Chuan. Every time I saw her, I hid. So awkward. It bothered me a little. I didn't know how her grades were, but this school was one that she had gotten into. I'd worked hard to get in, too. It felt like the real Lin Shi was getting an easy ride. I told she about it. She didn't care. She needed the exam at that age. Not anymore. It doesn't matter. I was curious. She, what kind of job are you going to get? Back to her hacking ways. She was even more relaxed. Why would I need a job? Lu Chuan is taking care of me. I was envious. I went home and told Shini, Big Brother, after I graduate, do I have to get a job? He looked up from his work. No, that easy. Won't you ask why? He looked up again. No reason. Whatever you want. I was touched. Then he added, except leaving me. Sigh. I'd given him a complex. I ran over and sat on his lap. No job. You take care of me. He smiled. Okay, I'll take care of you. He smiled. Good. Having placated him, I tried to get up. He hugged me. You're already here. Why leave? I understood the meaning of shooting myself in the foot as I supported my back. I shouldn't have sat on that lap. Standing was better. I didn't know what Shinjo wanted. I kept running into him. His gaze was complicated. It was awkward. I'd usually run, but this time he said, Shenwan. I turned awkwardly. Yes. He came closer. You're not Shenwan. I didn't have time to argue. Yes. I should have realized sooner. You're different from her. There's no falsehood or scheming in your eyes. I had some. You just didn't see it. In this life, you've done nothing to Lin Shi or the Shun family. You've even helped Lin Shi a lot. I was blind. Were you apologizing? I didn't care. I just stood there. His eyes were sad. I apologize. Could you ask Big Brother? Too. Shin-E cut him off, pulling me away from him. His eyes were cold. Leave. Get away from her. Before Shin-Jo could say anything, Shin-E took me home. Still confused, he pushed me against the door. Wan, don't see them anymore. Okay. I didn't know what he was afraid of. It was an accident. I won't see them. He hugged me. Good girl. What was that? But I noticed what Shin-Jo had been about to say. I told Shishi the next day. She laughed at me. Because of you. Shin-E cut ties with the Shin family and all business dealings. Shin-Yi's company is much stronger than the Shen's. Without his investment, the Shen's are in real trouble. Only you, oblivious to the world, only caring about food, drink, and sleep. I scratched my head. I see. I also play Lin Sure. I didn't care what the Shuns were going through, but I didn't expect to be cornered by their Lin Sure at school. It was awkward. I felt like I'd stolen her eldest brother. Yes, she said quietly. You said you weren't Shinwan. You said you'd atone for her. But the Shun family is still in danger. It's still your fault. So, what was the point? I was confused. What does the Shen family's crisis have to do with me? If you hadn't bewitched our brother, why would he abandon the family? Are you trying to guilt-trip me? What is this? Lin Sure, don't test my patience. I only feel I owe Shinwan, not you. I've paid back what I owed you. Your identity, your parents, your brothers. I've given up the Shun family. Stop wasting your energy on me. Shin-E is mine. I'm not holding him captive. If you won't help the Shins, look at yourselves. Don't expect me to fix things. Are you all insane? She was speechless. I was angry now. Your past life was hard. I know, but I didn't cause it. Why should I pay for your grievances? Who do you think you are going on about past life? Anger, thinking you can rise above it in this life. Don't take my kindness for granted. You can't afford what I demand. I turned and left. Why was I the bad guy? Was Shen-E so easily fooled? He was still at work. I went to 6 Easy Eye and cried. Why? I gave it back. She still blames me. She says I stole Shin-E. Shin-E, is he so easy to fool? Boo-hoo. They were too weak, so they got hurt. They couldn't hold onto the Shens, so they blame me for taking Shin-E. Whatever. Lin Sure just sighed. Once. She didn't mock me after I finished crying. I felt better. When 6 Easy Eye saw I was done, she went to her room, changed her shirt, and handed me the dirty one. Please get this dry cleaned. Thank you. My tears were wasted. Now I had to wash her shirt. She added, I already called Shin-E. I panicked. Why did you call him? She looked at me like a waste of space. To take you home. I don't want to. I pouted. When he sees me like this, he'll hate the Shuns even more. Then they'll really call me a femme fatale. She glanced at me unconcerned. So what? They made their own mess. I wasn't to blame. I had snagged Shin-E. He was mine. No one could take him. I happily went home with Shin-E and described my encounter with the Shens. Lin Sure. I basked in his subsequent declaration of love for me. Then I slept well. As for the Shens, I really didn't want to deal with them anymore. I was tired. My 20th birthday passed in a blink. 6 Easy Eye was getting married to Lu Chuan. I was going to be there. I was pulled into getting my own marriage license on my 20th birthday. My household registration had long been separated from the Shins. I was no longer his sister. I still called him Big Brother sometimes, but he preferred my name more. Gidge, he said. Big Brother felt like I was committing incest. So, Gidge, especially at certain times. He'd make me say it over and over. So embarrassing. I said I wanted a joint wedding with 6 Easy. He said no. He wanted to give me a unique one. Touching. But I still wanted to share with 6 Easy. So, I became her bridesmaid. I'd never been so enthusiastic about dressing up. But of course, 6 Easy was the most beautiful. I saw the anticipation in her eyes. She had found someone who loved her. I had found someone who loved me. At the start of the ceremony, she walked toward the groom arm in arm with a scholar she respected. Vows, rings, kiss. Her happiness was undeniable. I'd asked Shin-E, what do you think of Lu Chuan? He knew what I meant. He's loyal. If Shin-E approved, he'd be good to her. So, I'd let go of my resentment at being ignored for him. The once cold 6 Easy would have a happy life, a happy home. My wedding was indeed grand. Shin-E bought an island for it. 6 Easy was already married, but she was still my bridesmaid. As I recited my vows, I looked at the man in front of me. I had found my home in this world. For the rest of our lives, through storms and sun, as long as it's you, it's all you. After the ceremony, I hugged Shin-E. Shin-E, thank you. This wandering soul had finally found a home. He hugged me back. What are you thanking me for? I laughed softly, for giving me a home. He kissed me, Wan. Thank you for being my home. Extra. Shin-Wan's story. Shin-E ended up saving the Shin family from its financial crisis. He said he just wanted to scare his father, me. I was looking through a photo album I'd gotten from Mother Shin. I saw a picture of a delicate little boy. He looked familiar. I took the photo to Shin-E. Honey, who is this? He glanced at it. Me in elementary school. What? He looked up. Why? I scratched my head. Nothing. Just looked familiar. More than familiar. It was him. So, even when I was still alive, I had met Shin-E. Sister Ning, there's a kid here. Zhang Ning leaned against the wall, twirling a lollipop in her mouth. She chuckled, lifted the baseball bat leaning beside her, and put it on her shoulder. Let's go. Open for business. The boy walked slowly, with a slight limp, against the light. Zhang Ning couldn't see his face. One of her underlings spoke. Kid, didn't anyone tell you not to go out alone? The three of them were blocking the alley. The boy looked up. Move aside. This is Sister Ning's territory. If you want to pass, you have to pay. One of them whispered. Sister Ning, he's wearing expensive clothes. They're just a bit dirty. Zhang Ning looked at the boy. He was silent for a moment before saying, I don't have any money. She walked forward, put the bat on the ground, and crouched down. Close up, she saw bruises on his face. His clothes were dirty. She looked him over, then tapped his ankle with the bat. He winced. You're injured. Little kid like you. Not studying. Getting into fights. The underlings. Sister Ning. We get into fights all the time. The boy lowered his head. I wasn't fighting. The evening light filtered through the alley, hitting the top of his dark head. Zhang Ning scoffed. You got like this without fighting. Fine. No money. He was silent. She stood up. Boring. Thought I'd make a score today. The light faded. One of them said, Sister Ning. She looked up, then turned. All right. If you don't want your moms to break your legs, go home. Okay. See you tomorrow. Sister Ning. She looked at the boy. He was staring at her. What about you? Going home? He didn't nod or shake his head. She turned toward a small path at the other end of the alley. Come on. Then, the boy watched her retreating figure, then looked back into the darkness. He followed, limping. Second floor of an old apartment building. Zhang Ning unlocked the door. The old metal door creaked open. Come in and close the door. The boy came in and closed it. The apartment was simple and clean, just a little empty. Zhang Ning gestured vaguely. Go wash up. He looked at her, then went to the bathroom. When he came out, she was on the couch. Come here. He sat. She smiled. You're obedient. Aren't you afraid I'll sell you? He looked at her. You won't. How do you know? There aren't many kids as easy to fool as you. He didn't say anything. She didn't push. What's your name? Silence. She gave up. She opened the first aid kit. Roll up your pant leg. He did. She treated his face, then his ankle. Anywhere else? He shook his head. She put the kit away and stood. Okay, rest tonight. Go home tomorrow. She turned to leave. He stopped her. Sister. She turned. Could I stay for 2 days? Just 2 days. She thought. Fine, but you have to go home after 2 days. I can't afford to feed you. The light in his eyes dimmed. Okay. She made simple noodles for dinner. He ate it. The next morning, he was already up. She made breakfast, set it before him, and put the first aid kit beside him. I'm going out. I'll be back later. Stay here. Don't wander off. Change your bandages yourself. He looked up. Where are you going? She laughed. To work. You think I'm a full-time robber. His pale face blushed. She laughed again. If I were a robber, I'd have more than 200 after 2 years. Bye. She was working in the back of a grocery store. It was lunchtime. A group of students walked by. Look, that's Shangning. She froze for a second, then continued. Who's Shangning? Sure, keep your voice down. Don't mess with her. They walked away. She heard. You don't know. She used to be first in our grade. Then, she smiled bitterly, sighed, and finished her work. She went home with a few dozen yuan. He was sitting on the couch. She made lunch. After eating, she washed the dishes. I'm going to go rob people tonight. What about you? He looked at her. I'll go with you. She smiled. Are you better? Silence. She tilted her head. I'm just going to see them. I'll be back soon. He looked down, even more silent. She left, bat in hand. She came back with a bleeding arm. She closed the door, got the kit, and bandaged herself. He was beside her, worried. How did you get hurt? Her eyes flickered. She smiled, ran into an old enemy. She hadn't. She'd gone to meet her underlings and saw a group of men. One of her underlings said she'd taken the boy, then ran. She understood. She gripped her bat. A knife was hidden in her sleeve. She couldn't win. She played weak. Then, when they weren't looking, ran into an alley. Who knew they had knives? Her arm was cut. She looked at the boy and laughed. Kid, is your family rich? If I return you, will they give me a reward? His eyes dimmed. Probably. Where do you live? S-City. She smiled. Oh, the big city next door. This small town isn't good for you. Look at me. I'm 19, and I still worry about how to live each day. He didn't understand. Why don't you leave? Why leave? This place is all I have. This apartment is the only thing my grandmother left me. You're still young. You have opportunities. Me. I went too far. I hurt the principal's son. I couldn't fight the rich. All my savings went to medical bills. My only regret is not finishing school. So, you study hard. He didn't get the point. Why did you hit him? Her eyes were cold. I don't regret it. He's lucky to be alive. Then she smiled. Your family is probably well off. Big city, good resources. You won't end up like me. She thought of the men. You're young. There are a lot of bad people. Get strong. Boys should be able to protect themselves. He seemed to understand. He looked up. Sister, you what? You talked a lot. She was silent because she was alone. She had no attachments. But she remembered her grandmother saying to be kind to the world. But without her grandmother, there was no kindness. Even this small town was bleak. She smiled. Can't I be happy? Okay. Kids your age should be sleeping. She pushed him into her grandmother's room. She went to her room and counted her money. Money really is the most important thing. She saved enough for a bus ticket. She went upstairs to borrow old clothes from her neighbor. The next morning, she got him up, fed him, changed his clothes, wrapped a dark scarf around his neck to hide his face, and took him to the station. He was confused until they got there. Sister, you said I could stay for 2 days. She sighed. I told you I can't feed you. When you get to your stop, call your family. Go home. He was silent. She bought the ticket before he got on. She said, these clothes are old, but they're safer. I think you were brought here. It's dangerous to stay. So, maybe we'll meet again. He finally understood. Sister, she was afraid of the men. She pushed him onto the bus. Okay, time to go home. Bye. She waved. The bus left. She went home. On her way back, she sensed something different. She stepped back and ran. Stop. She knew the alleys. She weaved through them. She thought she'd lost them when a car came at her. She turned. As a ghost, she watched the scene unfold. She watched herself get hit by a car. The driver was a newbie. Drunk driving. There was a settlement. Her neighbor, out of respect for her grandmother, arranged her funeral. She was relieved. No more worrying about how to live. But being a ghost was boring. She sat on her grave every day. She could go anywhere in the small city. She saw more joy and sorrow. She thought she understood her grandmother's words. Be kind. People will be kind back. The boy came back with bodyguards. She sighed. He really was from a wealthy family. He learned of her death. He stood before her grave, a small figure radiating sadness. He left. She still wandered. She was afraid of being alone. She'd play robber, but not really. Years passed. She watched the small city change. It seemed brighter. She tried to figure out how to die as a ghost. She couldn't leave, couldn't watch shows, couldn't eat, no one to talk to. So boring. Maybe it worked. She appeared in someone's dream. In her mind was a book. The book's events were playing out. Someone in the dream asked, "If you were Shin Won, what would you do?" She laughed. "With all that, why wouldn't you just study?" She woke up feeling lighter. Maybe this time she'd really disappear. And then she woke up as Shin Won. I remembered my past. I looked at the photo. I always thought I'd also transmigrated. A ghost wandering for years. I thought, given a second chance, I'd be careful not die randomly. But I was from the book. 2. I looked at Shin E, a little brother, turned into an older brother, thinking of how pathetic I'd been. I hid my face. I hoped he didn't recognize me. Extra. Shin Yi's story. Shin E looked at the photo, his mind wandering. He was kidnapped as a child. To prevent his father's retaliation, they took him far away. He didn't know how long he'd been in the dark warehouse. They wanted 40% of the company for his release. His mother cried, "Promise them, our Xiao Yi is still in there." His father said, "The company is everything. Don't we still have Xiao Zhao and Xiao Yang?" He felt nothing, not even sad. He was thrown away, but he escaped. He didn't know where to go. He ended up in a small city. In an alley, he met a girl. She took him home, treated his wounds, fed him, gave him a place to stay. He knew staying would burden her, but he didn't want to go back. She talked to him one night. He understood. She sent him away the next day. He later learned her attackers had probably found her when he got home. His father looked at him. No joy, no relief. "Where did you get those clothes? Change." His mother cried, "You're back. That's good." His siblings asked where he'd been. He didn't care. Warmth wasn't for him. The girl was right. Being strong was the only way to protect yourself. He went back to the small city. She was gone. He thought it was a cruel joke. He left. He went back to the Shins. He learned everything. He started his own company. He rarely went home. He focused on work. He was always alone. He learned Shin Won wasn't a Shin. He didn't care, but his mother wanted him to visit. He saw Shin Won. Her eyes were full of schemes. The real Shin daughter, timid, would never fit in. He saw things going wrong. He warned them. They were stupid. Blood ties. He helped with the crisis. Shin Won paid the price. He thought that was it. Then he was reborn. Too late to change anything. He knew his brothers were also reborn. He didn't see the point. He watched the Shin family. His sisters were different, more interesting. He came back. Shin Won picked him up, or the person in her body. She was nervous, a little dumb. After his meeting, Su Xian was there. He hated her perfume. He saw the girl, hiding a smile. Not so dumb. He didn't expect her to choose barbecue. He saw his other sister. They were alike. When the neighbors gossiped, he saw her face change. Interesting. He heard her threats. She could be tough. Bored. He stayed. She and Lin, she seemed close. Probably to survive. Unnecessary. She went to a lot of trouble to announce Lin, she's identity. She used asking a question as an excuse. He indulged her. She was happy seeing her pure smile. He thought of the girl from long ago. She studied hard. If that girl could have studied. He saw her in Shin Won just a little, but he treasured it. She sat alone at the party. She didn't care about Lin Shi's position. When Su Zian came over, he saw her watching. Hearing her say Su Zian might be his sister-in-law, he was annoyed. Shin Won got in trouble at school. He saw her head held high. Then she deflated when he gave her a 2,000. Word self-criticism. She was amusing. She wrote it. Sincere. Probably plagiarized. He knew her well. He told her she could come to him. She looked at him like he was offering to commit murder. He had to review high school material to help her. She was getting to him. She was happy when she told him about Lin, Shi's boyfriend. Cute. He was letting her in. She sat alone at her own birthday party. She didn't like the scene. He asked if she liked it. She said Lin, Shi and him. She was attached to him. To Lin Shi. He knew she was saving money, so he gave her shares. No more secret saving. She studied harder than ever. Dark circles under her eyes. He told her to rest. She just smiled. She got into a good university. Lin, she was with her boyfriend. She had no one. He was busy, but every day, she was the first thing he saw. She lit up when he came home. He wanted her more and more. Then she was gone. The panic that filled him was overwhelming. Lin, she called him Big Brother. It was the real Lin Shi. His Wan Wan was gone. He nearly killed her. He never had any luck. Not with the girl from the alley. Not with Wan Wan. But he found her covered in blood. He almost lost her forever, but not this time. She was alive. He told her how he felt. He was afraid she'd say no. He was her brother. She said yes. He found her sexy. Everything was perfect, but he was afraid. Afraid she'd leave again, wounded. He controlled her phone until she was better, until she was truly his. Shinei kept asking him to help the Shins. He could. He just wanted them to know he was stronger. Don't bother him. His good sister was still stupid, just more arrogant. He let it go. He helped the Shins because Shinei holding the woman he loved knew that from now on Wan Wan was his home. After listening to this story, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your ideas in the comments. I look forward to hearing your voice. It's laughable. I transmigrated into a story within a story, becoming the evil female supporting character, the fake heiress of a wealthy family. In her past life, the fake heiress nearly destroyed the entire family and had the real heiress committed to a mental institution. In this life, her brothers have been reborn, and the real heiress is a transmigrator who has returned with a vengeance. Me, I give up. I'm tired. I lay on my bed thinking about how to get through the days ahead. Yes, the real heiress has already been brought back by her reborn biological brother. The original body's brothers have been ignoring me since their rebirth, probably planning to settle accounts with me later. The way that girl looked at me when she came back was so cold and indifferent. Will she get revenge for the original owner? Maybe I'll just wait around and do nothing until I die. Not like those brothers are going to let me off anyway. Truly a river of sorrow. The cards I'm holding are impossible to play. In the original plot, my character seemed to have the protagonist's assets, but what the path of an evil supporting role. And now, with both a transmigrator and reborn characters, that evil supporting role label is sealed. Is the mental institution nice to stay in? Never mind. Given what I did in the past life, there's no way I'd be sent to a decent one, even if I don't cause trouble. Even if the transmigrator sister lets me off. Those brothers won't. Right. Just as I was getting frustrated, there was a knock at the door. Mississippi dinner is ready. The master and madam have also returned. Hearing the housekeeper's voice, I felt like death was near. Okay, coming right away. I bounced off the bed, tidied my clothes, and shuffled downstairs in my slippers. Mother Shin smiled and waved at me. Wan Wan, come here quickly. Father Shin looked gentle. My two brothers were expressionless, their eyes cold enough to freeze. I gave a stiff smile. Okay, I sat down and fell. Silent third brother Shin Yang glanced toward the stairs and instructed the housekeeper. Go see why Cece hasn't come down yet. The housekeeper went upstairs. Father Shin frowned. Why is she so arrogant? She really hasn't learned anything good out there. Shin Yang spoke up. Cece just came back. She's still adjusting. Mother Shin tugged at Father Shin's sleeve. He snorted coldly but said nothing. Second brother Shin, Joe, was looking at his phone, ignoring the awkward standoff. The three Shin sons were all outstanding. Eldest brother Shin, he was in business with his own empire. Second brother Shin, Joe, was a doctor, quite accomplished. Third brother Shin Yang was a popular young actor. Classic protagonist's family. Right, but Shin Wan managed to ruin it in the past life. Shin, he had warned me that I was ungrateful. Father and Mother Shin hadn't believed him. And later we cut ties and barely contacted the Shin family. When Shin, he went abroad for business, I teamed up with outsiders to destroy the Shin family. Father and Mother Shin met with an accident. Shin Yang was hospitalized after a car accident, and it was Lin Shi, who had been released from the mental institution after news of its scandals broke, who took care of him. Shin Zhou wasn't killed by me, but coincidentally, when he went abroad to find Shin Yi, his plane crashed. Everyone on board died. In the end, the Shin family was left with enormous debt. After Shin Yang was discharged, he suffered greatly. Lin Shi also didn't live long after being released from the mental institution, having endured so much torment. When Shin Yi returned and learned what had happened, he resolved the Shin family's debts and dealt with me and my accomplices. but the once great Shin family was left with only two people. Just as I finished reviewing the plot, Lin Sure came downstairs. I saw the corner of Shin Yang's mouth lift. Cece, come here. His eyes were full of heartache and guilt. In his past life, Shin Yang had doted on Shin Wan, his younger sister. He turned a blind eye to everything Shin Wan did to Lin Sure, even helping her. Yet, despite that, his biological sister Lin Sure never hated him and took care of him in his final days, while I, the fake sister, personally destroyed his home. Sigh, the rest of my life is looking grim. Lin Sure walked over calmly, sat down, picked up her chopsticks, and started eating. Father Shin was furious. Where are your manners? Lin Sure glanced at him. You never taught me any. Father Shin was about to explode, but Mother Shin held him back. Enough. Eat first. Father Shin snorted coldly and fell silent. Mother Shin's attitude was unclear. She was very good to me, but lukewarm toward her biological daughter. She had tried to stop me from sending Lin Sure to the mental institution. So, she must care about Lin Sure. Right. This meal was so awkward. Shin Yang kept serving Lin Sure food. A cozy little scene for two across from me. Shin Zhou hadn't looked up once since that single cold glance at the beginning. I was so embarrassed my toes curled. After the meal, I thought I could escape, but Lin Sure spoke calmly. I want to go to school. Shin Yang immediately nodded. Okay, I'll transfer you. Father Shin frowned. Your old school's conditions are terrible. Don't embarrass me once you're enrolled. Lin Sure shot Father Shin a cold, mocking glance. Then, before he could explode, she turned and went upstairs. I watched the tense scene with trepidation and kept my mouth shut. I don't know why Father Shin was so cold and disdainful toward his own daughter, either. The wealthy have so much drama. After Lin Sure left, after an awkward stretch of time, everyone dispersed. I also returned to my corner, grieving my sad situation. Shin Yang moved quickly. The next day, Lin Sure and I went to school together. We were both 17 and in our third year of high school. Lin Sure asked to get out of the car not far from the school, following the original character's pattern. Had the luxury car drop me off right at the school gate. She had always been flashy. Suddenly lying low would have drawn attention. I walked to my classroom and sat down. My desk mate was an admirer of mine. It seemed like the obligatory tragic ending for a Mary Sue protagonist. The young guy blushed when he saw me and shyly moved aside to let me in by the window. A good spot for daydreaming. But did he have to blush so much? What had Shin Wan done at school to cause such a stir? A whole bunch of admirers. Such a Mary Sue physique. I saw my desk mate stop blushing when he saw someone at the door. Then he stood up to let them through. I had just looked up when a voice reached me. 1-1. Oh, the male lead, Guze, was here. Perfect character design. Student council president. Top of the grade. Handsome. Brilliant. Guze was my fiancé, or rather, the fiancé of the Shin family's daughter, meaning Lin Sure's intended. Unfortunately, I had stolen him. I gave a polite smile. What is it? Guze pulled me out of the classroom to a quiet stairwell. I saw someone getting out of your car today. Who was that? Oh, you saw that. Ah, that's Lin Sure, my brother's biological sister. I was so honest. Give myself a pat on the back. Guze was confused. What? How dense is this guy? Her and I were switched at birth. She's the real Shin daughter. I'm the fake. My father should be announcing her identity in a few days. Guze looked at me sympathetically and patted my head. That doesn't matter. I only like you. Thanks, but I really don't need your affection. This kind of universally adored identity is so annoying. I wish Lin she would just make a move on me. Expose my despicable true self and get rid of all these admirers. Don't love me. There's no future in it. I pulled Guze aside and looked at him seriously. Guze, to be honest, I've never liked you. We're in our final year of high school now, and I need to focus on my studies. So, let's end it here. We can still be friends when we see each other in the future. I said this and went back to the classroom. Seriously, final year of high school. Why play power games? Studying is so much better. Studying makes me happy. I love studying. I suddenly developed a strong desire to learn. That morning, I studied with great enthusiasm. Of course, the things I didn't understand, I still didn't understand when class ended. It was lunchtime. I was about to head to the cafeteria. A girl ran over to me. Wan, why didn't you come find me today? Oh, right. I had superficial friends at school, too. The material was a bit hard today. I haven't quite wrapped my head around it yet. Fortunately, my image at school was still that of a well-behaved, high-achieving student. Choi Xiao nodded. Want to go to the cafeteria together then? Okay. As luck would have it, I ran into Lin Shi. She gave me an unreadable look. Oh ho. So, as a new student, she'd already been noticed. Wait, I didn't say anything to those people, right? Probably no one should know Lin Shi yet. Unless someone saw her getting out of my car. Like Guze. I'm innocent. I haven't done anything. I even broke it off with Guze. Choi Xiao noticed Lin Shi's look. As she sat down to eat, she asked, Wan, do you know that girl from earlier? I nodded. She lives with me. Choi Xiao's eyes flickered. A relative or a secret love child? I smiled. The Shin family's original daughter. Choi Xiao's eyes widened. Then you. We were switched at birth. Everyone knew that the wealthy Shin family had 3 sons and 1 daughter. Choi Xiao's expression grew awkward. Oh, I see. I couldn't be bothered with her. She was just a social climber anyway. Chui Xiao was only a pawn for the Chui family to curry favor with the Shin family. Through Chui Xiao's gossip and what people had heard at the cafeteria, the school rumor mill should now know that Lin Shi was the true Shin heiress. I had voluntarily admitted Lin Shi's identity. That couldn't be wrong, could it? The next day, I noticed people looking at me strangely. Many who had been particularly attentive to me before had disappeared. It worked. The following day, the atmosphere was much lighter. Even my desk mate whispered to me, Shin Wan, they're saying you're not a Shin daughter. Don't be sad. I smiled. I'm not sad. It's true. I'm not the Shin family's biological daughter. My desk mate, Xiao Yang, looked at me with even more pity. Oh, no. This kid is hopeless. On the 4th day, I noticed students starting to doubt the rumor. This was a private school. After all, most families had some money. They asked their parents, and since the parents hadn't heard any news about Shin Wan not being a Shin daughter, my fans began spreading the word that it was a rumor. Please, no, it's true. By the 5th and 6th days, the majority believed that Shin Wan is not the Shin daughter was fake news. I was once again receiving everyone's enthusiastic greetings. Damn, when I went home for the weekend, I saw Shin Yang. I was nervously about to head upstairs when he stopped me. Shin Wan, I turned mechanically. 3rd brother, what is it? Shin Yang spoke coldly. What are you trying to do? You had your lackey spread the rumor that you're not a Shin daughter to gain sympathy, so you can bully Cece. Do you really think I wouldn't dare touch you? I was shocked. What? They're bullying Lin Shi. Lin Shi definitely wouldn't get bullied, but she was probably getting plenty of snide remarks from those students. Shin Yang, probably seeing that I genuinely didn't know, gave me a cold look. Let's hope you really don't know. Get out of my sight. I went upstairs and hesitated outside my room, then walked to Lin Shi's door and knocked. She opened it, standing there in her pajamas. What? I wrung my hands and looked down. I'm sorry, Lin Shi. I just wanted to give you back your identity. I didn't know they would do that. I wasn't thinking. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Lin Shi seemed surprised by my reaction. She smiled faintly. I accept your apology, but I don't care about this identity. I was a bit confused, but thinking of Father Shin's attitude, I understood. Even if you don't care, these things belong to you. I will return them. I finished saying this resolutely and went back to my room, then pulled out my workbook that evening. When Mother and Father Shen returned, I followed them into their room and used all my skills to convince Father Shin to publicly announce Lin Shi's identity in their social circle. I understood that after raising me for over 17 years, their feelings for me were deeper. But Lin Shi was also a good person. She didn't deserve such treatment. Although Lin Shi rarely came downstairs, I still made deliberate attempts to create opportunities for her and Mother Shin to interact. Mother Shin was only distant because of my influence. now that Father Shin had stopped caring. Mother Shin could still be won over. Shin Yang was the most free and the one who cared most about Lin Shi. He was also confused by the recent developments. When I went to school on Monday, it was much quieter. I could finally focus on studying. Gu Zhe also stopped bothering me. With the Gu family's connections, even if it wasn't announced publicly, they could find out. The only reason he had stuck around before was because the Shin family hadn't acknowledged Lin Shi. Now that they had, he had to reconsider. So, wealthy people's affection is fickle, isn't it? Studying is king. After learning the truth, Choi Xiao also stopped fawning over me. I didn't care. I was frantically trying to improve my physics. I didn't know how Shin Wan's physics was, but mine was atrocious. Chemistry was a close second. Shin Wan's grades were around the top 20. Wealthy families don't skimp on their children's education. There weren't any exams yet. I might still be able to struggle. Luckily, Xiao Yang's grades were pretty good. I asked him physics questions often. Thankfully, his attitude toward me had normalized, probably because I had once said to him very firmly, "We are successors to the socialist cause. Don't waste time thinking about dating. Study hard, improve every day, and contribute to our country's development. The future of the motherland lies in our hands. Young man, go for it." The guy had wisely understood my rejection and had a sudden epiphany. After being sad for a while, he became much more helpful with physics, although he was sometimes confused about why I didn't know so much. It wasn't a big deal. I could fake it. I'd been panicking lately. My workbook couldn't even save me. Shin, he was coming back. Shin Zhou was always at the hospital and rarely came home. Shin Yang had been coming home more often, but nothing seemed off. Shin Yi, though, he was extremely sharp. That's definitely a death sentence, especially since Shin Yang had just said to me this afternoon, "I have a work trip for a few days. I'd better not find out you've been bullying Cece while I'm gone." Oh, no. That means I'll be facing Shin Yi alone. Scared, I considered whether to get an ID card and move some of my allowance from Father and Mother Shin into a separate account, so I wouldn't end up on the streets when I got kicked out of the Shin family. But then, in the evening, Mother Shin, Wan, your father and I are both busy tomorrow. Since it's the weekend, can you and Cece go pick up your eldest brother at the airport? Me. I tried to argue. Mom, can't he just come back on his own? Father Shin frowned. Go when you're told to go. Your brother's not going to eat you. Shin Wan, your dad is so mean. I'm definitely not his real daughter. I wailed internally, but nodded outwardly. Okay, but then, Lin Shi spoke up. I'm not going. Me and Mother Shin, Father Shin was about to get angry, but I quickly spoke first. Lin Shi, didn't you promise to tutor a classmate? I heard you two had plans. I continued before Father Shin could interrupt. It's fine. You shouldn't break your promise. I'll go by myself. There's no problem. I'll meet Big Brother when he gets back. Father Shin shut his mouth. I felt like I sounded a bit petty, but whatever. It worked. That night, Lin Shi came to my room. Why did you say that? I asked first. Why don't you want to pick up Big Brother? I just don't want to. Good for you. I, on the other hand, am a coward. I pulled Lin Shi into my room. Sister, you need to be careful. Shin Yi's eyes are really sharp. Lin Shi didn't take my warning seriously. Instead, she laughed. You're really not Shin Wan. My eyes flickered. Whether I am or not doesn't matter. You need to watch out for Shin Yi. Lin Shi seemed unconcerned. So, what if he figures out I'm not the real Lin Shi? Shouldn't you be the one worried? You've been living here for over 17 years. I immediately made a sad face. True, Shin Yi was also reborn. Lin Shi probably didn't know yet that all three brothers were reborn. Lin Shi laughed even more. I've suddenly realized you're quite amusing. I gave a pained smile. Life is hard. Shin Wan sighs. Lin Shi laughed out loud and deigned to comfort me. He can't do much to you anyway. You don't understand. Lin Shi, I'm the one who killed his entire family. Shin Yang hasn't made a move because he hasn't found a reason. Shen Zhao is too busy with work. But Shen Yi could destroy me in minutes. Right. Lin Shi sat on the bed, casually and added, "Just don't be too stupid." Me. "Life is hard." Lin Sure paused, then said softly, "Besides, the real Lin Sure is still out there somewhere." I looked up. Did she mean what I thought she meant? Lin Sure spoke indifferently. "I thought after I died, I'd get a new life, but it turns out it's just borrowed. I don't know when she'll come back, and I'll be kicked out, so you'd better find yourself a strong backer when the real Lin Sure returns. Your farming sim novel will turn into a revenge tragedy." I didn't know what to feel. Lin Sure. Thank you. Lin Sure raised an eyebrow. "All right, I'm going back." With that, she stood up and left. I thought I only had to deal with a transmigrated sister, and she was reasonable. Too reasonable even, but the real Lin Sure was still out there. That wasn't fair. I had taken her identity, and the current Lin Sure had taken her body. She was the one who took care of Xin Yang in his final days. Yet she had nothing. I could already feel her resentment. Life was so hard. The next day, I went to pick up Xin Yi. It was September. I wore a cap, a mask, and a light jacket. Money really was good. The original body had been very well taken care of. Fully disguised like this, I looked like some big celebrity. I waited at the airport early. When I saw Shen Yi walking out, I approached him. "Big brother, Mom asked me to pick you up." Shin Yi looked at me. "Xin Yuan, did you become famous?" Me. Shin Yi's assistant spoke. "Boss, it's almost time." Shin Yi glanced at his watch, then looked at me again. "I have a meeting. I'll be back tonight. Did you drive?" I was speechless. I'm not an adult yet. Shin Yi thought for a moment. "Oh, right. Then come with me to the office. We'll go back together after the meeting." I obediently nodded. Okay. I followed Shin Yi to the car his assistant had arranged, went to his company, and was left in his office. I had to admit, it was very high-end and impressive. Standard CEO luxury. I thought we'd go back soon, so I hadn't brought my workbook. Bored, I started studying the layout of Shin Yi's office. After I finished my exploration, I pulled up a chair to the floor-to-ceiling window and started scrolling through my phone, ordering a bunch of study materials. 2 hours later, the door opened. I was excited, but in walked a woman, a beautiful woman. She seemed to be the woman Father Shin had set Shin Yi up with. Su Zian makes sense. Shin Yi was 26. It was time for him to find someone. When the woman entered and saw me in my cap, she looked surprised, but when I looked up, she understood. "Oh, it's Wan Wan." I curled my lips. "Hello, Sister Su. Are you waiting for your brother?" "Obviously, yes. He told me to wait here for him." Su Zian smiled slightly. "I need to see him too. Let's go together." The air was silent for a moment. Then Su Zian spoke casually. "Wan Wan, have you been well lately? Seems the news about the real and fake heiress Suze was making the rounds." "I've been fine. I eat. I drink. Nothing's been missing." Su Zian's expression froze for an instant. Then she smiled and said, "That's good." I figured that when Father Shin officially introduced Lin Shure's identity, that's when I'd have to leave. I can't afford to mess with these wealthy elites. Su Zian didn't ask any more questions, and I continued scrolling through my phone. I actually came across some gossip. It was about the Shin family's real and fake daughter drama. The article was very convincing. The public wasn't buying it yet, but once Father Shin made the official announcement, that would change. I'd have to find a chance to nudge him. I thought it would be a while before Shin Yi finished his meeting, but it was over in less than half an hour. I heard the door open and turn my head. Su Zian was already walking toward him. I gross. "Does Shin Yi like that?" "Oh, no, he doesn't." Shin Yi frowned and stepped back. "Miss Su, I don't think we're familiar enough for that." Su Zian looked hurt, but a beautiful woman on the verge of tears. "Aren't you moved?" Shin Yi didn't waste words. "Miss Su, is there something you need?" Su Zian smiled bitterly. "I heard you were coming back, so I wanted to have dinner with you. I didn't expect you to be so unwelcoming." Shin Yi walked past her to my side. "Miss Su, I told you last time, very clearly, we're not a good fit. Don't waste your time on me." Su Zian looked so pitiful it almost moved me. I lowered my head using the brim of my cap to hide my smirk. Shin Yi grabbed my cap and dragged me toward the door. "If there's nothing else, I'm going home." "Miss Su, please do as you wish." Suwon-san, seemingly hurt by Shin Yi's coldness, left in a huff. My gleeful expression froze on my face when Shin Yi looked at me. Big brother, are you done? Are we going home? Shin Yi glanced at me. Enjoy the show. I immediately shook my head faster than a rattledrum. Shin Yi dragged me out. As we passed the secretary's area, he asked casually, "Who let Su Zian into my office?" A young man who looked like a new hire came over, his face full of apology. "I'm sorry, President Shin. That lady said she was your fiancé." Shin Yi sneered. "She sure likes to flatter herself. Do it again, and you can pack your things." The young man nodded vigorously. "President Shen, it won't happen again." He dragged me to the underground parking garage and got into the car before asking me, "What do you want to eat?" I turned stiffly. "Are we not eating at home?" "Nobody's home. It's easier to eat out." I lowered my voice. "But Lin Shi is at home." Shinny paused, as if just remembering she existed. "Lin Shi? Oh, we'll find a place. Then Fong Yu, you will go get her." Assistant Fong Yu, Shinny, the big shot, spoke again. "So, what do you want to eat?" Under the big shot's gaze, I weakly said, "Barbecue." "I'm sorry. I was craving it." Shin Yi looked at me, a conflicted expression on his face. After a moment, he spoke. "Go to the barbecue place." I shrank into the corner of the luxurious car, trying to minimize my presence. But I couldn't escape the inevitable. "Wan. Big shot. Can you just call me Shinwan? I'm scared." Shen Yi looked straight ahead and spoke quietly. "How are you and Lin Shi getting along?" Here it came. Pretty well. I had managed to build up some goodwill with the Transmigrator sister. "Big shot, are you about to make a move on me?" Shin Yi glanced at me, a hint of a smile on his face. "Oh, that's good." I arrived at the barbecue restaurant, terrified. "And Fong, you went to pick up Lin Shi." I now understood why Shin Yi had hesitated earlier when I suggested barbecue. His suit really wasn't barbecue appropriate. The restaurant wasn't bad. I found a secluded corner table where no one would notice us. Shin Yi grimaced as he took off his suit jacket and set it aside. He clearly wasn't used to this. Should have said Western food. Shouldn't I? Barbecue was too unsophisticated. Looking at Shen Yi across from me, I was dying of laughter inside. "Oh, ho. Shin Yi glanced over calmly, and I immediately behaved. I enthusiastically took on the role of grill master, flipping the meat back and forth until it was golden brown on both sides, sizzling with oil. Not long after, Lin Shi arrived. She glanced at me first, as if laughing at my pathetic state. Then she gave Shi and I a calm look. "Big brother." Shi and I also replied calmly. "MHM. Oh God." My second-hand embarrassment was killing me. I picked up the tongs, placed some perfectly cooked meat on Shirney's plate, and said, "Big brother, eat." Then I quickly placed some on Lin Shi's plate. "Lin Shi, you eat too." For the rest of the meal, I made sure they both had plenty of meat on their plates, occasionally taking care of myself if it weren't for those annoying kids. This barbecue would have been quite pleasant. Each pair of tables in the restaurant was separated by some decorations, so it was hard to see clearly. The table next to us started gossiping just as I was adding meat. "Girl 1, have you heard about the Shin family situation?" Guy 1, "Who hasn't? I wonder what the Shins are thinking. They still haven't made it public." Girl 2, "That means they don't acknowledge Lin Shi as their real daughter. If they were going to, they would have done it already." "Shut up. Thank you." Guy 2, "I agree. I haven't heard anything about Shin Wan being kicked out. They raised her for 17 years. There's no way they have more affection for some daughter who grew up outside." Lin Shi glanced at me, then at the table across the way, looking amused. I looked at Ni's thoughtful expression and felt like doom was approaching. And Lin Shi was still laughing. They didn't stop. Girl 1, "Exactly. Who knows what Lin Shi has learned over the years? She can't compare to someone raised by the Shins for 17 years. Please stop. Let me live a little longer." "Okay, girl 2. Either way, Shin Wan's position is definitely still higher." Guy 1, "Could Lin Shi be as outstanding as Shin Wan? She's just some wild child." Crying inside, I watched Shin Yi's inscrutable expression and felt doomed. I turned, walked over to the neighboring table, leaned in, and whispered in a voice only they could hear, "Hey, everyone, Lin Sher is also a daughter of the Shen family. If I hear any of you talking about her behind her back again, I'll destroy you." I then smiled sweetly at them. Remember that. The table fell silent. I returned to my seat and happily ate my meat. Lin Sher glanced at me and sent a message. "Lin Sher, what did you say to them?" "Me. I reasoned with them." "Lin Sher." After that, I ate happily. Shen Yi ate a little and stopped. Yin Xiate a bit more. I ate all the rest. I was savoring the meat with my eyes closed when Shen Yi suddenly said, "Aren't you afraid of getting fat?" I froze. Had Shin Wen been afraid of getting fat? I didn't have her memories. Eating one meal won't hurt. I won't get fat. I knew I was making excuses, but it wouldn't stop me from eating meat. With how sharp Shin Yi was, he'd probably already figured me out. Whatever. I heard Lin Sher snicker. Shin Yi drank some water. The neighbors finished eating. As they passed by and looked our way, I gave them a big smile. Absolutely stunning. I thought my smile was very sweet, but the four of them ran away in a panic. Why? I'm such a gentle, lovely, beautiful, smart, lively, cheerful, well-behaved girl. I would never do anything to them. Shin Yi turned his head to look at them, then at me. What's wrong with them? I answered innocently. They were probably charmed by my beauty. Shin Yi, Lin Sher, we chat. You really flatter yourself. Me, we chat. It's the truth. I was born beautiful. After eating, I secretly noticed Shen Yi sniffing his clothes with a disgusted look. Haha, serves him right. On the way back, Lin Sher claimed the front passenger seat, leaving me and Shen Yi in the back. I looked at Shen Yi's grim expression and obediently shrank into my corner until we got home. When we arrived, Shen Yi quickly went upstairs and straight to his room. I watched him go up, smiling. After Fang Yu drove away, I laughed out loud. Lin Sher came over and asked, "What are you laughing about?" Shin Yi's OCD is acting up. Lin Sher didn't understand, and that's worth laughing about. You don't get it. I'm the one who suggested barbecue. Lin Sher realized. You did that on purpose. No, I really wanted barbecue, and I really knew he had OCD. Lin Sher was speechless. Sister Lin Sher, I'm going to take a shower, too. Lin Sher muttered about how everyone had OCD and also went to take a shower. After my shower, I heard Mother and Father Shin come home. I stayed in my room and worked on my workbook. I love my workbook. My workbook loves me. I was so immersed in physics, it felt like drowning. The housekeeper came. "Mississippi, the madam, wants you downstairs." Damn. I put down my workbook and went downstairs, seeing everyone on the sofa. I was annoyed. I still hadn't figured out that physics problem. I even saw Xin Zhao, who I hadn't seen in a while. Time to perform. Father, mother, big brother, second brother. Xinyang wasn't back yet. Where's Lin Sher? No sooner had I asked than Lin Sher came downstairs and sat next to me. Xin Zhao's eyes flickered, and he looked at me with an ambiguous smile. Well, Lin Sher sat next to me on her own. I didn't trick her. Why look at me like that? I didn't understand why we needed the whole family together just to chat. It was like some kind of illness. Father Shin used his usual elder tone. "Lin Sher, this is your big brother." Lin Sher nodded. "We've met." Shin Yi said flatly. "We had a meal together today. It was barbecue." Mother Shin smiled. "We're all family. Let's get along well." Shin Yi, MHM Lino. Xin Zhao. Okay, I echoed. Got it. Mother Shen. Father Shin. This chat felt like a canned session. No one spoke unless asked. This generation of the family was so perfunctory. Xin Zhao. I have surgery at the hospital. I'm leaving first. Shin Yi. I have a meeting. Lin Sher. I have things to do. Nyetahan. I have homework upstairs. I looked at the physics problem I still hadn't solved. I could feel my hairline receding. I took my workbook and went to knock on Lin Sher's door. She opened it. "What?" Weakly, I asked. "Do you know physics?" Lin Sher glanced at me, took my workbook, glanced at the problem. "You're so stupid." She turned back into her room, grabbed a pen, quickly wrote out the solution, then turned and slapped it into my hands. Then she closed the door. Sigh. I went back to my room and studied the steps. She was a true master. Clear. Easy to understand. Lin Sher's identity needed to be made public. The current Lin Sher's sister didn't have any ill will toward me, but the real Lin Sher might. Father Shin didn't like his biological daughter, so getting him to arrange a coming out party for her was hard. I nagged Mother Shin for a long time, hoping she could persuade Father Shin. It didn't seem very effective. Who else could help? Wan Wan. You could ask your big brother. It's the same if he arranges it. Oh, right. Shin Yi, the reborn Shin Yi. The Shen Yi who had killed Shin Wan in the past life. Here we go again, big brother. Shen Yi opened the study door. What is it? I held up my workbook. I don't know how to solve a problem. Shen Yi stared at me for a while, then moved aside. Come in. I walked into Shen Yi's study and stood obediently in front of the desk. Shen Yi closed the door and walked over. Which one? Before coming, I deliberately picked the hardest one. Prepared. This one. Shin Yi glanced at the problem, then at me, and frowned. Your intelligence has reached this level. I suspected he'd left out the word low. I looked down and kept my mouth shut, earnestly seeking help. Shin Yi sighed. Come here. I came closer. Shin Yi began his masterclass lecture. Understood. No. I lowered my head even more. Shin Yi was silent for an uncomfortably long time. Which part didn't you understand? Now it was my turn to be silent. Shin Yi's face darkened. You didn't understand any of it. I swallowed and nodded. I didn't dare look at him. His face must be blacker than a pot. Shin Yi was silent. I was silent. Big brother, I'm kind of a failure. Can you explain it at my level? Shin Yi was silent again. This time it was awkward. I forgot you're a high school student. After Shin Yi's relentless efforts, he finally helped me understand the problem. Then he looked at me. His eyes asked, anything else? I hesitated. Big brother, can you throw a coming out party for Lin Sher in our social circle? Shin Yi's interest was piqued. Oh, I explained, without an official recognition. People outside will think the Shen family doesn't acknowledge Lin Sher. That's not good for her. Shen Yi tapped his fingers on the desk. If the Shens acknowledge Lin Sher as their daughter, aren't you worried about your position? I shook my head. No, I'd saved up some money to live on. Shin Yi smiled. All right, next week. I was thrilled. Big brother, you're the best. Thank you. I turned and ran out. I didn't hear what Shin Yi said next. What a foolish girl. School life went on as usual. My ex-boyfriend, Gu Zhe, had probably heard some news. We ran into each other much less often, which was great. Zhao Yang was still my physics consultant, but his ability to solve problems was limited. The hard ones I still had to take to Lin Sher. Cui Xiao still came to find me. She probably still thought I was at least a daughter of the Shin family. I'd occasionally go to Lin Sher's class to eat with her. Before I left, I wanted to stabilize Lin Sher's position and status. Some people at school looked at me strangely, with fear. Probably the group I had dealt with kindly last time on the weekend. Shin, he kept his word. He threw a coming out party for Lin Sher and officially introduced her to their social circle. Lin Sher's identity as the Shin family's daughter was now confirmed. I noticed some stares. I smiled indifferently. Lin Sher walked up to me. You didn't have to do this. I looked up at her. But this is what you deserve. Lin Sher smiled. Why are you so stubborn? I smiled, too, but said nothing. I didn't want to steal someone else's good fortune, whether the current Lin Sher or the body's original owner. Lin Sher was ultimately the Shin family's daughter. She deserved to be cherished and adored. That was her right. And Shin Wan was just Shin Wan. Consider this my atonement for the Shin Wan of the past life. This was Lin Sher's first appearance in high society. Shin Yang was there. He still gave me dirty looks, was still attentive to Lin Sher, and Lin Sher was still polite and distant. I felt sorry for Shin Yang. He wasn't as close to her as I was. Lin Sher didn't want to change her surname, so she remained Lin Sher. Lin Sher of the wealthy Shin family. Given Shin Yang's vastly different attitude from the original plot, Lin Sher guessed that he might be reborn. He wanted to make amends. He felt guilty. Once, Lin Sher said, if it were her, she wouldn't forgive Shin Yang. The damage was done. Why should the fact that he realizes he was wrong and wants to atone erase everything? But she wasn't the one who was hurt. She couldn't make that decision for the real Lin Sher. However, carrying the real Lin Sher's memories, who had loved her family, she was trying to forgive Xinyang. Lin Sher also said it was thing I wasn't the real Xinwan. She couldn't be bothered fighting a battle of wits with a jerk. Xinyang stayed by Lin Sher's side, fielding all the toasts from wealthy socialites. He was introducing her to the upper echelons. When she got tired, he took her to rest. This was the debt a brother owed his sister. I was huddled in a corner of the rest area, nibbling on snacks and sipping a little wine, wearing a dress and heels to a formal event. Like this was so tiring. At this point, I'd rather be in my pajamas, ready to sleep. Shin Yi came and sat next to me. What are you doing here? What else could I be doing besides resting? I felt I had stood up for myself. Shin Yi raised an eyebrow. Oh, I smell danger. Big brother, I'm just tired. That's why I'm resting here. Sorry, everyone. I sat back down. Shin Yi looked at the clusters of people talking and asked quietly, does it make you sad? I was confused. Why would I be sad? I didn't belong in this circle. I couldn't handle it. Shin Yi smiled. I suppose so. Nothing to be sad about, nor will it change anything. I didn't pay attention to what Shin Yi said. I noticed that Su Xian was here, too. She sashayed over. Ai. Then she looked at me. Wan Wan is here, too. Me. This woman was getting older by the day, and her eyesight was failing. Shin Yi frowned. Miss Su, don't call me that. We're not familiar. Su Xian lowered her eyes, on the verge of tears. Then she seemed to pick herself up. I actually came to talk about work. Hearing that, I subtly shifted my butt and stood up. Big brother, Sister Su, you two talk. I walked over to Lin Sher in small, awkward steps. The only reason I'd been in the rest area was that I still hadn't mastered walking in heels. I didn't want to die of embarrassment on the spot. Lin Sher saw me coming and moved over, making room. I looked at Xin Yang's cold stare. So what? With Lin Sher here, you don't dare do anything. Lin Sher turned to Xin Yan. Third brother, I want to talk to Wan Wan for a moment. I'll find you later. Hearing Lin Sher address him, Xin Yan was excited. Then, upon hearing her request, he glared at me hatefully before walking away. Lin Sher pulled me aside and asked, what did you do? The way Xin Yi looked at you when you came over, his eyes were murderous. I just gave him and Su Xian some space so they could talk. Su Xian, Xin Yi's blind date. That clingy type. She was a clingy type. Now, I clarified for Lin Sher. Think about it. There aren't many people who can make our eldest brother frown. And Su Xian does it every single time. A persistent woman always has a chance. I think maybe one day Su Xian will be our sister-in-law. Oh, you want Su Xian to be your sister-in-law. I felt cold sweat on my back. I turned stiffly to see my beloved eldest brother. Ahem, big brother, you finished work so quickly. Xin Yi smiled slightly. Yes, after all, as you said, a persistent woman always has a chance. I had to finish quickly. I knew my smile was fake. Big brother, I was just joking. I tugged at Lin Sher's skirt, but Lin Sher just stood by and watched. Xin Yi's smile grew sweeter. Wan Wan, do you want Su Xian to be your second sister-in-law or your third? Oh, light bulb moment. Big brother, I think all of my brothers are in their prime and should focus on their careers. Romance will only distract them. You're all so outstanding. You can find a wife anytime. No rush. No rush at all. Is that so? Hope, I immediately responded. Of course. My brothers are so handsome, talented, and accomplished. There must be countless women who like you. More than enough to circle the 3 times. That was enough sucking up. Right. Xin Yi raised an eyebrow, still smiling. He was about to say something, but someone called him. He looked at me once more, then left. I collapsed into my seat. Saved. Lin Sher, you really enjoyed watching that. Lin Sher raised an eyebrow. This is my first time seeing your silver tongue. You're quite good. Haha. Lin Sher stood up. Well, you earned this. I'll go mingle. Okay. I stayed put, not saying a word. A sweet Xin Yi was terrifying. The party ended smoothly. I minced my way to our luxury car in small steps and sat next to Lynn Sher. Just before I got in, I got excited, stumbled, and fell into the car. Thankfully, no one saw. A gleeful laugh. I mechanically looked up, following Lynn Sher's gaze to Shin Yi. I quickly got up and sat down properly. Yes, I was still a socialite. Just ignore my frozen, red face. So embarrassing. When we got home, I trudged upstairs, closed my door, and reflected on life. Lynn Sher knocked. I opened the door. She looked me over. What's wrong? It's just pajamas. I thought you'd be more devastated. I waved it off. It's not that bad, just some embarrassment. I can handle it. Lynn Sher raised an eyebrow. All right then. I'm going back to my room. I looked at her with teary eyes. Sure, Cece. Lynn. She shuddered. Stop the act. I'm busy. What could a high school student be busy with? Lynn Sher glanced sideways at me. Online dating. Then she turned and left. What the hell? What the hell? Lynn Sher was online dating. Breaking news. I immediately went back to my room and messaged her. Me. Lynn Sher, you're dating early. I'm going to report you. Lynn Sher, dismissive. Go ahead. Lynn Sher, if you do, I'll tell Shinyang you bullied me. Me. Cece, you've gotten bad. You're tattling now. Lynn Sher, I learned it from you. Me. Online dating is risky. Lynn Sher, I know this person. Me. When did you meet them? How come I don't know? Lynn Sher, I hacked his account earlier. Me. You're amazing. +1 for awesomeness. I wasn't worried about Lynn Sher getting into trouble with online dating. No one could fool her. A master like that could still online date. I'd better just study. Studying makes me happy. I love my workbook. Time passed quickly as I solved problems. School days passed quickly, too. After it was confirmed that I wasn't the Shin family's biological daughter, the people who'd been sucking up to me disappeared. I was happy. There were some who came to pick a fight, but they weren't Shin Yi, so I wasn't afraid. Once I went a bit too far, and since I was in my final year, they called my parents. Of all people, I never thought Shin Yi would come. I was very apologetic. Big brother, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have hurt my classmates. I'd do it again. Shin Yi glanced coldly at the injured boy and sneered. Did you win? I was a bit confused. Why, yes. Shin even had the leisure to lecture the boy. TCH. Can't even beat a girl. Useless. The disciplinary director wanted to say something, but didn't dare under Shin Yi's tyranny. I was grinning, with Shin Yi backing me up. Was I worthy of such treatment? Shin Yi noticed the director's discomfort and turned to me. Shinwan. Here, write a 2. 000. Word, self-criticism. So much for that. I was droopier than a flower. Yes. Shin Yi stood up and looked at the parents of the boy I hit. His tone was calm. I'll cover the medical expenses. I'll discipline my sister. You'd better discipline your son. I know exactly what happened. If he causes trouble again, next time I won't be so lenient. The boy's father's eyes flickered. I'll discipline my son. Thank you, President Shin. I noticed the father looked at his son with a mix of frustration and disappointment. Later, I learned that was Shen Yi's kindest day. I wrote my 2,000 words, self-criticism, and handed it to Shin Yi. His orders that night. I knocked on his study door. Big brother, I'm here to turn in my self-criticism. Shen Yi opened the door and took the papers. I was about to turn around when he stopped me. Come in. Oh. I stood in front of his desk as he leisurely read my self-criticism. It was very sincere. My apology was heartfelt. Even I was moved. Shin Yi finished reading and raised an eyebrow. Wan, what do you think of this essay? I studied his expression. Very sincere. Shen Yi was silent for a moment, then spoke. Shenwan, you don't realize where you went wrong. I thought about it. Besides fighting at school, what else could I have done wrong? I couldn't figure it out. Shen Yi sighed. Do you know fighting is wrong? Why do it yourself? If you told me, I have countless ways to shut him up permanently. I was shocked. Big brother, isn't that a bit extreme? I'm a law-abiding citizen. Shin Yi flicked my head. What are you thinking? I have lawyers. I'd sue him for defamation. He's over 16, isn't he? I thought about it. That's true, but fighting was faster. Shen, he spent some time explaining his power and influence, telling me I could come to him if I had trouble. I obediently agreed and forgot about it as soon as I left the room. By the time final exams rolled around, I was a little nervous. Sister Wan, don't worry, you'll do great. Yes, I had successfully turned my desk mate into a little brother. Actually, it was because those 4 people from the barbecue restaurant happened to be related to Xiaoyang. When they found out he was my desk mate, they warned him. I went from being Xiaoyang's secret crush to being his big sister figure. Haha, I'm so gentle. Xiaoyangzi, you don't understand. I'm just preparing in advance for the college entrance exam atmosphere. I'll relax once I'm used to it. The results were within my expectations. I maintained Xin Wan's top 20 ranking. Lin, she was first in the grade. Perfect score in every subject except Chinese. I went home and looked at Lin, she with stars in my eyes. Lin Master, I knew you were good, but I didn't know you were this good. I suddenly became interested in Lin Shi's past. Lin Shi, what was your original name? Still Lin Shi. Oh, okay. I decided not to pry. She didn't seem interested in the past. Lin Shi's stellar academic performance finally made Father Shin value her a bit more, though she scoffed at him every time. She looked down on him completely. The real Lin, she must have been proud and powerful. Lin, she was really strong, no matter which way you looked at it. I became even more determined to bring my workbook to her, but I didn't know which little demon it was. Lin, she thought I was wasting her time and stopped opening the door for me. I had to settle for Shin Yi. Why did a big CEO live at home all the time? I thought he'd live in his own house. But he said, I want to. I felt no animosity from Shin Yi toward me. Maybe after being reborn, he'd become more zen. Or maybe he had already recognized who I really was. Either way, I was even more zen. I lost all shame in asking him questions. If I didn't know, I said I didn't know. If I didn't understand, I said I didn't understand. Shin Yi happily reviewed high school material. When I asked him why he didn't know how to write the answers the high school way, he said calmly, I didn't go to school after I was admitted to an accelerated program. Fair enough. I was the one who didn't measure up. Still in high school over the break, with Shin Yi's valuable tutoring, my physics and chemistry improved a lot. At least now, getting into a good university was guaranteed. Half a year had passed, and I hadn't expected to become closest to Lin Shi and Shi and I. Shen Zhao was never around, and Shenyang hated me. With 2 big shots backing me, I felt like a winner in life. I became even more committed to studying hard, would try not to embarrass them. I finally met Lin Shi's online boyfriend on the day they decided to meet. In person, I was honored to be part of the entourage. I thought Lin Shi would go for a younger guy, and he did look young. But his age, 24, not that he was old. He was still young, but Lin Shi was only 17. That could be an issue, though she was almost 18. I always felt like he was a predator. Lin Shi was happily chatting with him. I secretly messaged Shen Yi, Big brother, 6 Easy is talking to some guy. Big brother, this is a secret. I'm telling you, so you can check him out. If he's messing with Lin Shi's feelings, break his legs and make sure he can never have children again. Shen Yi was in a meeting. His phone vibrated several times. After the meeting, he looked at it. Wang Wang, impotence is going too far. Just castrate him. I saw the first line and thought it was harsh. Then I saw the second and thought, that's ruthless. Big brother, isn't that harsher than my suggestion? Shen Yi replied, right back at you. I thought I might be too lonely chatting so happily with a 26-year-old man. I guess I needed more workbooks. I'd buy a few more. Lin Shi had originally started the online relationship out of boredom. Maybe this 24-year-old was actually pretty good. He seemed to treat her very well. Lin Shi occasionally went out to meet him on weekends. She called it a date. I was bored, lying on the desk, contemplating the meaning of life. The housekeeper came. Mississippi, tomorrow is your birthday. How would you like to celebrate? Oh, I was turning 18. I smiled broadly. Auntie, can you ask Lin Shi? I'll celebrate with her. Okay, great. Lin Shi chose not to celebrate. Not that she had a choice. An adult ceremony was required. Mother Shin's orders. And since we had the same birthday, we'd have it together. I really didn't like these parties. Too much effort to get ready. I was hiding out on the second floor, terrace again, looking at the wealthy ladies and socialites below, thinking about my workbook. Shin-yi walked over. Why aren't you down there? I looked up. Boring. Then put my head down again. Shin-yi sat. Was there anything among the gifts today that you liked? I thought of the pile of gift boxes in my room. Haven't opened them yet. Suddenly, I remembered something. Big brother, where's your gift? Shin-yi looked mysterious. It's in your room. You'll see when you get back. Oh, okay then. I stared blankly into the distance. When could I go home? Wait, I don't have a home. Do I, Wanwan? HM. I looked at Shin-yi. Do you like it here? I tilted my head, confused. You and Lin Shi. You're both. Good. Shin-yi smiled. For the first time, I truly saw what it meant to smile with one's eyes. Good. I understand. I was even more confused. What did that mean? I didn't have time to ask because the main characters of this event were needed again. Me and Lin Shi. After a quick walk through, I went back to my spot. Shin-yi was gone. I didn't feel like asking. I saw Guze, whom I hadn't seen in a while. He was talking to Lin Shi. Oh, interesting. Changed targets. I saw Lin Shi say a few words, then turn and leave. A moment later, she came up to me. I teased her. The male lead. Not interested. Lin Shi waved it off. No, my boyfriend is pretty great. I laughed even more. It seemed she really liked that guy. After the party ended, when I got back to my room, the first gift I saw was from Lin Shi. It was a thick binder with the complete files of every member of the wealthy class who posed a threat to me. I loved Lin Shi. Suddenly, the necklace I'd given her seemed cheap, even though it was expensive. Then I saw Shin-yi's gift, a stock certificate. I was terrified. Even a small portion of Shin-yi's assets would be extremely valuable. What was he thinking? I took the share agreement and went to find Shin-yi. Big brother, this gift is too valuable. I was afraid I couldn't handle it. Shin-yi smiled. I gave it to you. It's yours. Keep it. But no buts. I gave it to you. It's yours. I hesitated. All right, comma. School continued as usual, but the college entrance exam was getting closer. I tried to see Lin Shi more often. When she wouldn't see me, my next best option was Shin-yi, even if it disturbed his work. I was shameless enough. With the help of these two masters, my physics and chemistry improved dramatically. My other subjects also improved. I was now in a position to attend the best university in our city. I had grown attached to my current life. I didn't want to leave. I even realized that I seemed to be getting more and more reliant on Shin-yi. Was that a good thing? I set the thought aside for now. Lin Shi was casual about the college entrance exam. It's just an exam. Nothing seemed to interest her more than her boyfriend. Maybe he really did love her. But what is love? Whatever. I just stick to my workbook. A life spent with money is better than a boyfriend. Right. In the last semester of high school, I poured all my energy into studying. I didn't know why. Maybe just for a chance to stay here. Maybe just to change something. My life outside of school consisted only of Lin Shi and Shin-yi. No matter how hard I tried, Shin-yang still hated me. Shin-jo, whom I rarely saw, still treated me with the same lukewarm indifference. I always gave my parents the proper, polite greetings and care, even if there wasn't much affection between us. I tried to maintain the appearance of harmony. Shin-wan, I no longer owe you anything. I've tried my best to change. Whatever the outcome, I'll leave it to fate. Putting aside these distractions, I took the college entrance exam calmly. I thought I did pretty well. I got a high enough score to stay in our city, to stay in this familiar place. I'm someone who's afraid of new people. Once I have someone to rely on, it's hard not to become attached. After the exam, I wanted to travel with Lin Shi. Lin Shi, spending time with my boyfriend. Me. So, this is who you really are. Lin Shi. Lin Shi, I'm busy. Go by yourself. The summer vacation after the exam was long, with no one to travel with. I felt like I was growing moss. One day, just as I was feeling particularly bored, Xin Zhao, who was always busy, actually came home. His first words were, "Is Big Brother home?" I shook my head. He looked at me and said something strange. Shenwan, did you know Big Brother's house is very close to the company? So, I remember asking him why he lives here. He just said he wanted to. Shin Zhao smiled. Who's to blame? With you here as a threat. Me. A threat? Huh, that's true. I'd almost forgotten they were reborn. My presence would always be a threat. But I still had Lin Shi and Shen Yi. Was Shen Yi on my side? I didn't know. So, that's why you don't want to see me. Second brother. Shin Zhao glanced at me. I don't have the energy to watch you act. I'd advise you not to provoke Big Brother. My hands felt cold. I clenched them. Okay, I understand. I thought, maybe I really didn't belong in this family. I never belonged in this circle. Did I? At least I could stay in this city, even if this family wasn't mine. Lin Shi and Shen Yi were the only reasons I hesitated. And then, I made up my mind, because the real Lin Shi came back, feeling troubled by Shen Zhao's words. I was thinking about whether to leave. Lin Shi returned. I approached her. Lin Shi, you're back. But she didn't respond to me like she usually did. Lin Shi looked at me coldly. She said, Xinwan, are you enjoying using my identity? My voice came out a bit hoarse. I gave it back to you. Lin Shi sneered. What did you give back? You're still a Shin daughter. You and that person who took my body. You're both enjoying everything. Don't you feel guilty? What right do you have to steal my life? Her voice was filled with anger. I felt that any explanation would be inadequate. Yes, to die once and then come back. Only to not even be in control of your own life. I'm sorry. I tried my best to atone for the wrong Shin one had done in her past life. But I shouldn't have gotten attached to this family that wasn't mine. I could leave. But where? Is Lin sure if the real Lin Shi had come back? What about the Transmigrator? Would she disappear? Lin Shi said contemptuously, she won't be coming back. I felt a little sad. In this world,